Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon. It's the Earthmaster here on this Monday, June 13th, 2022 date. It's about 10:52 a.m. California time. Latest quake shows a 2.7 earthquake over here around the Middle America Trench. Also notice up here we're getting some activity off the coast of Canada coming in here within the last hour as well. Let's go ahead and jump into that real quick. Seeing that red circle showing up here off the coast of Canada near the Port McNeill area. Looks like a 4.6 at 38 kilometers coming in. Now this is the northern end of the Cascadia subduction zone, and it's right smack dab on the Cascadia itself. It's been quite a while since we've seen any activity directly on it. Of course, we get quite a bit of activity to the west and down dip of the subduction zone. But yeah, this 4.6 coming right smack dab on the Cascadia itself. Pretty crazy. Before we get back into the earthquake activity, I want to cover a little story that's kind of breaking. Up in Yellowstone National Park, all entrances are closed temporarily due to heavy flooding, rock slides, and extremely hazardous conditions. This is unprecedented type flooding up there at the park. We're looking at lots of roads being eroded away due to all the heavy rain, the swift moving water, the flash flooding. Looks like, yeah, all entrances here are closed to the park. So that's kind of a big deal up there. Looks like the power is out in multiple locations across the park. Got to be on guard up there. They do get those severe weather events on occasion this time of year, but this is pretty much unprecedented, though. Pretty crazy. We did have some flooding out here around Mount Lassen yesterday as well. Had quite a bit of thunderstorm activity up there, closing State Highway 76 or 70, State Highway 70, and creating some mudslides and whatnot here in Northern California as well. So crazy, definitely crazy. All right, I thought I'd throw that in there as a little update there, because that's, like I say, that almost doesn't happen. That's unprecedented for sure. Okay, getting back here to the California or the earthquake map, I want to check out real quick Earthquakes Canada and see if they're listing this earthquake. Let's go ahead and pop up here real quick, the right one. EMSC is reporting it. I've seen that. The Earthquakes Canada map not showing it yet. They're showing an earthquake way up here to the north of 3.6 in the Yukon, or the Ross River, the Yukon region up here. But that doesn't look like that's the most recent quake. That was at 1659, so almost an hour ago. This earthquake that came in here off the coast of Canada on the Cascadia, happening just about 20 minutes ago or so. So this is kind of a big deal because, like I mentioned, there hasn't been a whole lot of activity directly on this area of the Cascadia with this type of magnitude. And of course, we all know the Cascadia is a major player in one day creating major havoc across this area of the world with a 9.0 or greater earthquake and the unfortunate subsequent tsunami that it will produce in this region. I posted a little article on my Facebook page about the dropping of the land, so to speak, when it comes to the release of built-up pressure. Looks like Oregon's going to be dropping around 9 feet or so along the ocean or along the beach areas. I'll cover that a little bit later. I think I'll bring that into tonight's update. I don't want to do that right now because it's a pretty lengthy article, but look for that tonight. We'll cover that a little bit more in detail tonight about this, about the whole process of what takes place here during a release of energy, stored up, built up pressure since about 1700, the last major rupture here. So kind of watching it, folks. The tremor activity has been relatively quiet yesterday. Let me see. That's right, we had 0 epicenters of tremor up and down the board here. So hard to say exactly. We just don't know 100% certain what's going to happen here. But either way, activity on the Cascadia today, off the coast of the Queen Charlotte Sound, near the Port McNeill, Canada region, 4.6 at 38 kilometers too. So it's kind of down there a little bit into the subduction zone. Yellowstone National Park. Now, if you guys have been watching this channel or if you heard about it, definitely got some swarming going on here at Yellowstone. Let me bring up the map. This activity here around the northwest corner of the park is all earthquake activity. Now, this afternoon time frame and this morning looks like things have kind of tapered off a little bit compared to overnight and yesterday. And this is just one UTC day. There was a good handful of quakes, right? We'd have to go back here a couple days ago, or at least yesterday, and see that there was further activity here around the northwestern corner of the park. And even prior to that, the previous day here, all of that activity. So definitely a couple hundred earthquakes. If you count all of these little spikes there, which they are indeed earthquakes. Some of these are up in the 2 range, possibly the mid 2 range. So this has been an ongoing event. USGS throwing in 10 earthquakes within the last 24 hours. I want to see if they've included the previous days here. Looks like they did 613, 612. So it looks like they've covered a little of them. A little, and I say a little because these guys are only listing 63 earthquakes here, and most of that here within the last couple days, right? So I think they're only listing some of the ones that they can well define, ones that they can know the exact location of, but definitely. Hold on a second here. Let me bring this up. June 13th, previous day. Definitely looking at this map, though. If you were to count every single one of these just for yesterday's graph, you're talking a lot more than probably what's listed on the USGS map. So they're getting some of them in there. That's good. It looks like the majority of these. Hold on a second here. Let's go 7 days, 2.5. Let's see what the biggest one was here. It looks like, yeah, we did have a couple mid 2s there. I did see those in the list. I thought they were about 2.5 or so. It looks like they just put it right below the threshold of the 2.5 level. So we had a couple 2.4s, quite a few 2s in there over the last couple days in that earthquake swarm. And then, of course, a bunch of 1s. And some smaller quakes. And I'm sure they'll probably add some more. It does take a little bit of time to decipher all the events and where they're located and the correct magnitude. But you could probably times this times 3 at least. So probably looking above the 200 mark range of earthquakes just by looking at all of these, folks, from the last couple days. So let's see. So let's go back to right now. And looking at the activity here, as I mentioned, it looks as though it's calmed down a little bit here within the last couple hours. But again, these things can come and go. These swarms, that is. And we'll definitely keep an eye on it. There is, you guys see that little trail of activity? This is kind of an unusual type of swarm as well. Most of the time, when we look at earthquake swarms, pretty much centered in one spot, for example, like right down here, just within a certain area. But this earthquake swarm is kind of spread out here about 5 miles or so, maybe about 10 kilometers, maybe a little bit more, in a linear type fashion. So not for sure what's going on. I know there's fault systems up there, obviously, right? We know there's a lot of fault systems. Not for sure if it's part of the Red Canyon fault or not. But I don't think they're showing all the fault systems here on this map. Wolf Lake fault. But either way, definitely interesting to watch. Let's see what we got for the depths here. Most of them are around 6 to 8 kilometers down there below the surface. A couple a little bit more shallow. Looks like a 2.0 in the 2.0 kilometers in the mix there. But yeah, majority of them, looking at this here, about 6 to 7 kilometers below the surface in this type of fashion. So Kind of an interesting little ordeal, right? All this activity taking place mainly as the West Coast was somewhat quiet yesterday. And for the most part here, along the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Northern California, it does continue to look pretty quiet. That includes areas around the Great Basin up through Utah and Idaho. All of these areas look relatively quiet, right? Don't they? Because most of the time we'll see at least some activity around the Sawtooth Fault Zone up here in Idaho. A little activity around Tonopah, which is happening today, but not as intense. And not a whole lot of activity through Utah. So all this activity following a quiet spell over here, excuse me, to the west. All right, looking at Northern California activity, got one earthquake here south of Eureka. This one coming in overnight, 1.9 at 18 kilometers deep. Some activity outside of the Cobb Mountain region. Of course, hydrothermal operations going on down there with Calpine here in this region, in the hydrothermal field. Also a 3.0 coming in there just outside of the Lakeport and Kelseyville sits over here to the east, northeast. 3.0 at 6.1 kilometers. That earthquake just off of the Macama Fault, I believe, here. By a mile or so. It's hard to tell exactly which fault system this struck on, but pretty close to the vicinity of that fault. Nothing going on throughout the Sierra Nevada. If you notice that, look at that, all super quiet today. Look at that. Wow. A little bit of activity along the San Andreas Fault Zone, the plate boundary. A couple twos there, an upper two or so. And Southern California, a little spotty activity around Ridgecrest. Nothing really going on around the Garlock Fault. We got one earthquake here at the intersection of the San Andreas Fault and the Garlock Fault Zone. Big Pine Fault Zone, all this area. Looks like a 1.2 at 12 kilometers for that earthquake. And Southern California, there's not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot of activity going on, but a couple of earthquakes here. At least one around the Salton Sea, 1.6. This one pretty deep though, 14 kilometers just off the Brawley seismic zone and just very shy of the San Andreas Fault here, just a couple miles to the south of the southern segment. We have noticed a little increase in activity down here in Baja California. We see it on the EMSC model. Let me show you guys real quick. The activity that's kind of stretching up here into the region of the Baja California area. There's quite a few clusters there. You guys see that? See if I can blow that up a little bit. A lot of threes, a lot of twos. The USGS does not cover all of that activity. They only cover, for the most part, 4.0 and above. Although sometimes they do throw in threes and twos, but today they're not. But definitely a lot of activity working its way into the Gulf of California. And it's been very active here along the Middle America Trench too, including that most recent quake there, 2.7. So definitely pretty active here along this area of the plate boundary. Let's see what else we got. Still been pretty quiet here around the Japan area. Look at that. Super quiet. Mariana Trench, all quiet as well. One earthquake here in the far northwestern corner here, it looks like, of the Philippine plate, just off the coast of Taiwan. Looks like a 4.6 at 23 kilometers, but aside from that, that's about it in that area. Pretty almost unheard of. Vanuatu is seeing one earthquake here within the last hour, a 4.9, and some activity stretching around the Horseshoe Bend and right around the Tonga area with a looks like a 4.9 or 4.9 in the Tonga region here. New Zealand not showing a whole lot here, but then again the EMSC model is definitely picking up on some activity in the 3 range in there as well. Getting quite the cluster around this plate boundary. You can almost see it stretching, even though the main plate boundary sits here to the south. Got to remember all the stress and built up here over the mountains, kind of showing that line of activity there where all the pressure is starting to build up around eastern Afghanistan, stretching into areas of the China region, north of the Himalaya mountains, But you guys can see that, right? Look at that. A bunch of fours for right now, but might be a hot area for some larger movement here soon. Got to watch that pretty closely. One earthquake out here in the Turkey area, 5.2. That one striking yesterday, it looks like. Yesterday's time frame. Not a whole lot going on through Mediterranean, at least in the 4.0 and above range. Atlantic Ocean, seen some movement down here to the south. And the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, seen a couple more, it looks like, near the Georgetown area, 4.8. And here's this activity down here in the South Atlantic Ocean overnight, 4.9. Puerto Rico, and it looks like this is kind of tapering off a little bit. Nothing showing up here within the last hour. About 19 earthquakes or so within the vicinity of Puerto Rico. There's some of that activity into the Middle America Trench off the coast of Nicaragua, Costa Rica area, Honduras. Again, EMSC models showing quite a bit of activity ramping up here within this region, and quite a few more fours in this mix than what the USGS is showing. So, but it's what these guys are showing. If the USGS gets to it, I guess they will. We'll find out, right? Let's see what else we got for the rest of the country here. Filling in a little bit up here in northern Oklahoma. Look at that. I know what's out there. That's the oil fields, Wakita Trend and gas field. I'm not for sure what that was. Something just fell outside. Get some strong winds though, I think. 3.1 and a 2.2 within the oil fields. Unless there's a ghost around here. Let's see exactly where this is at. Satellite view shows obviously, right? I'm sure there's some oil operations out here. It looks like some older ones. There's some pond out there, but it's definitely out there in that field where a lot of operations, pumping operations, are taking place. Let's see what else we got here as we back out. And a little bit of movement down in Texas as well, outside of Pecos. One earthquake outside of San Antonio area, north of Victoria, 2.5 near Smiley, Texas. Whoa, check this out, guys. I'm surprised these guys don't have any bigger earthquakes right now, but it's coming. You know, the damage is definitely done out there. It takes a little bit of time for these newer ones. These are all very active, it looks like here, these pumping operations. Looks like that 2.5 struck within feet of at least one of thousands of them that are out there in Texas. You guys see all that? Look at that. Look at all those. Holy smokes. There is a lot of pumping operations out there in this area of Texas. Wow. All right. Let's back out of here. Go back to the terrain view. See what we got. Kind of weird. I did see my computer flash for a minute. Seems like every time I start talking about something like that, things happen. Oh, goodness. Not for sure what it is, but just go with the punches, I guess. All right, let's see what else we got today. Oh, solar weather activity really ramping up here, folks. Let's go over here and check out the solarham.net website. We had a long duration M flare that came in late last night. Seen this thing coming in, watched it go up for quite a while. I was wondering if it was going to peak up into the X flare category, but it never did. This is definitely a long duration M flare. It peaked out at around M3.4. It did send out a massive CME, and there's the picture of it. Look at that, just lighting up like a match on the sun. A huge flare. Let's see. The event generated a noteworthy coronal mass ejection that appears to be headed mostly to the east and away from Earth. There is the massive CME that it produced. Look at that. Woo! Giant. If that thing was directed at Earth, that'd be awesome. It'd be pretty cool. Might head up to the north to see some auroras if that were to happen. But unfortunately, it faced away from us. But that doesn't mean that there's still further chances coming in from the sunspot in the next couple days. We did see a little spike in the KP index last night, up around the KP index of 5 came in out of the blue. Not for sure exactly what kicked it up. Looks like they're having some issues there. Let me refresh this. There we go. A little bit of data loss last night, it looks like, and I'm not for sure why. But yeah, we've seen a little bit of KP index up there spike out for a little bit late last night. Not for sure where it came from, if it's a coronal hole. We have been seeing this coronal hole face us for a day or so now, but most of the time, KP index there is going to be consistent with this type of coronal hole. But I'll have to check back on that and see what triggered that. Either way, things are getting somewhat active. I think there's more of a chance than what these guys are posting here for flare threat. Maybe they haven't got to them yet, but definitely a good chance of seeing another M flare from the dynamics of the sunspots. We got 30-30, 30-32, and 30-33. The flare came from this one right here, by the way, 30-30. And got quite a few developments around the bend coming right at us, so things could be cooking here, or at least exciting, I should say, in the coming days ahead as this sunspot rotates into view. Looks pretty promising. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it plays out. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here. So once again, just be on guard out there. I did post that link to a very interesting article about the Cascadia subduction zone 9.0 scenario, and it looks pretty grim for a lot of the folks out there along the Pacific Northwest. And I hope everyone that lives out here in this area, including me, is aware of the possibility of this thing going one day. It will. There's no doubt it will definitely rupture again. The question is exactly when. When is the question. Not if, that's for sure. And the consequences of seeing a 9.0 out there is pretty great, and unfortunate damage and whatnot is unavoidable is the word. But I hope everyone reads it. It's on my Facebook page. I will cover it a little bit more tonight, folks. I'll bring up the article and we'll kind of dig into it and make that kind of our main topic tonight in our update. I think that will be definitely worth it, considering seeing all this activity today on the Cascadia itself. 4.6 right smack dab on it. So, all right, we'll see you guys back here tonight around 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock would be good. 7 o'clock time frame, West Coast time. That'd be 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central, and of course 8 Mountain time. So, all right, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here, see what fell outside. It was a pretty big boom. Not for sure what it was, but going to go check it out, guys. So we'll catch you a little bit later on. Stay safe, folks.